Hi folks, I'm Trey and welcome to another of my colouring tutorials. In this video I'm going to be working with a pencil I've never worked with before. It's a new brand for me, it's called Cadrim and it's a budget pencil. Now with all pencils they all work differently. It's something that surprised me quite a bit, to be honest, when I started colouring. And it's finding the brands that work for you. So being able to share my experience with a brand that maybe you haven't come across before, I hope is going to be quite useful. But on top of that, I'll give myself a wee bit of a challenge because I'm going to be doing multicoloured hair. So that's something I haven't done before as well. I've done two-tone, but multicoloured not so much. So I hope you find this video useful. The design I'm going to be working with is this lovely fairy from Molly Harrison's Big Book of Fairies. So far all I've done with this project is skin. I decided to go with some unusual colours. I've gone for yellows and golds for the skin. For the hair I'm going for a little bit of a mix of colours, quite contrasting, yellow, orange, medium pink and a very dark plummy purple. And I'm doing this on purpose to see how they work, see how they blend together. Now the pencils themselves, they look very similar to Marco Refine. And as I said, they also feel very similar to Marco Refine. The colours are similar, but there's some colours are lacking. You know, there's not very many pale blues and pale pinks, pale greys, you know, stuff like that. So and also the numbers are very strange. They're almost ad hoc. Some Marco Refiner tend to be in batches. So say the yellows in certain batches of numbers. So they're easier to understand, and actually they refer to other colours that will go with them, like browns and such like, and oranges. You know, it goes right across, but these don't do that. So when you're trying to find something in the cases I have them in, because I keep them in cases, I find it more difficult when you have strange numbers. But I do keep a swatch sheet. I just use a piece of paper, nothing fancy, and so it makes it a little bit easier to find things. And like I said, there's not many pale blues. Same with the purples, and there's no pale grey at all. But not too bad on skin colours, so we'll see how this goes. Right, so this hair, quite fancy hair and lots of it. I'll be doing most of it online on this video. I'm going to be doing some highlights first. And I'm going to be using the very pale yellow for some highlights. Now it's got some line art in here and shading to help with putting in light and dark, so I'm going to be using a bit of that to guide me. Now I found I have to do light pressure, well I generally do anyways with all my pencils, but with budget pencils it's even more so, because otherwise if I get too heavy handed I can't get much at all down on the paper. So really have to be careful with the budget pencils. So I'm going to go into the sections which I think should be lighter, and it's quite often, I mean it's giving you an idea with the line art anyway, but also it's if the flow of the hair pattern is going upwards, that's quite often lighter as well. So such as here, kinks up, here again, so that's going to guide me with my lighter sections. Now, because there's a lot of hair, it's quite long, it comes all the way down to near the end of the page. I won't do all of that, otherwise I'll have to come away from the image too far and you won't see the detail. So I'm just going to colour in as much that's on the camera, and I can do the rest off camera. So I've just got a little bit of a hint of highlight. It's my first colour down. And now I'm going to bring in the orange. I'm going to be doing almost like a little bit of overlapping, and see how this works. So I'm overlapping into the lighter section. It'll make that yellow section smaller, but I want to see how they layer on top of each other. Now, so far they seem to be going down quite well, and the yellow is very pale, and I am only using light pressure. The orange wasn't too bad when it came to pigment, and again I only used light pressure. Let's see what this medium pink does. I'm going to go into the darker areas now and overlap or butt up to the orange. I've not used this colour combination before, yellows and pinks and like a plummy purple, so this is going to be interesting to see how this works out. And again I'm using light pressure. If there's anywhere I feel I need to adjust the lighter sections, I'll do that as I'm going along. I realise that I need light over here, and that's one of the cool things about doing a project colouring project with light pressure, you can adjust it as you're going along. If you do it too heavy and put too much colour down at first, you can't really adjust it, and some pencils don't erase very well. And it's one of the reasons I also like to put my lightest colours down first. I always go on the cautious side. So there's parts here I feel need more light. Oh, I'll adjust those. Well, so far, the pencils feel, very similar to the Marco Refine brand. They're going down reasonably smoothly. I am using very, very light pressure, and the pigment's not too bad at the moment. And they do seem to be layering over each other, considering they're quite different colours in some ways, quite well. So now I'm going to try the plum purple, as I would call it, and just see if I can add a bit more dark in certain areas and see how that works. When I do light pressure like this, it does mean it takes a long time to complete a project because of the fact that it takes a few layers. Because as you can see, even though I've got one or two layers down, it still looks reasonably scruffy, as I would put it, quite rough. But by doing this, I tend to be able to get more colours down, and it looks more interesting, a little bit more depth. And that's more effective, I feel, with pencils. It's just having the patience. Now, I'm not going to try and do all of the darker areas on camera. It's going to take too long. And as I said, this is a lot of hair. But it's given you a little bit of an idea of how these are coming together. And pigment-wise, they're not too bad. I mean, I am just kind of like brushing over the paper. So they're not too bad, really. I'm pleasantly surprised. So what I'll do, I will do more layers that I feel needs to be done, and as many as I can do to bring this together. And then I'll try doing a blend, and I'll come back to this when I'm doing the blend. Now I've managed to get about 4 or 5 layers down of each of the colours, and then I started to struggle. It could be the pencils, it could be how the pencils are working with this paper. It's you know, thinner paper, you know, the Amazon paper can be quite thin and not a lot of tooth, so it could be a combination of both, but I'm actually quite impressed with the pencils. As a budget pencil, they're working quite nicely. Now, when it comes to looking at blending, slight problem. One, the colours I'm using are going to be challenging to blend together in the way I would normally blend with either a cotton bud or solution, baby oil, zest, or even my blender pencil. Now, I have tried to use a blender pencil on these books before, and the lines, the black lines actually get mucky and go into the colouring, so I can't really use that method. With the solutions, I tried a little bit, move it here, and it got mucky because of the colours. It didn't work out, so I thought that's not going to work either. The colours are too different. You know, the dark purple and pink going into the orange and the yellow, it just makes it look a bit muddy. So what other options do I have? Well, I've decided to get a little bit clever and do the blending in 2 stages. And the first stage is I'm going to cover the dark purple and the medium pink with the orange and blend it out that way. And I can feel I'm struggling to get any more down now, so still using light pressure though. See what I can manage. I think it's giving you an idea how that's going to work, and I think it actually is working better. It's not becoming muddy, it is lightening up the darker sections, the pinks and the dark purple, but it looks okay, it's not dirty looking. So now I know that that effect is going to help. I'm going to now blend the orange areas and the lighter areas of yellow with the light yellow, but not go into the purple, and see if I can. So it's almost like 2 different colours to blend that I'm doing with this. Not something I would normally do. Normally I would use one method to blend. Now again, it just gives you an idea of how that's going to work. It's a lot of hair and I won't be doing it all on camera, but I will finish off and come back to this. I think that's going to work. don't see getting as muddy as it did as I tried to blend right through to all the colours. So doing it with 2 different colours in separate areas seems to be working. So what I'll do is I'll continue the blend off camera and then come back and show you how it turns out. Now I've completed the blends with the orange over the pink and the purple, and the pale yellow over the orange and obviously the pale yellow areas. And I'm quite pleased with the results. Yes, I was struggling a wee bit getting another layer down with these pencils. However, it's warmed up the whole effect of the hair and those colours. Just looks really lovely, and I'm so pleased. I kind of like thought out of the box a little bit with these pencils with colouring hair, because I tend to sometimes go for all one tones, different shades, and it's nice to be adventurous. You learn quite a bit. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing this, and when it comes to feedback about the pencils, struggled to get more than 5 layers down, must be honest. Like I said, could be the pencils, could be the paper, but they are budget pencils, so it could be part of it. However, the pigment is really good, considering they are budget pencils. I mean, I've had other ones and they haven't been very good pigmented. And the best ones I've had for pigment has been the Marco Refine, and these are a good comparison to those. Colour options, there could be more lighter colours for, you know, when you're doing shading in the same colour. That's the only downside really, and the really confusing number setup. that as well. But at least I've got numbers on them. Would I recommend these pencils? Yeah, I think I would. I think I would recommend these pencils. If you're looking for a budget pencil to do underneath layers to save you more expensive pencils for big areas. And if you're just starting out and you don't want to spend a lot of money on pencils, yeah, I would recommend these. So I hope anybody's watched this has found this interesting. You've got some interesting tips, helpful ideas. Please do comment and I'll reply as soon as I can. I do find them interesting to read anybody's comments. I have a Facebook page. Please follow the link and come and have a chat with me. I would enjoy that too. So I'll say bye for now, and I'll see you again with another video tutorial.